Bienvenidos to Humans in Accounting, the podcast where we pause the AI buzz for a minute and focus on the real humans behind the numbers. We chat with founders and leaders to hear their journey, what drives them, and the important things in life. Because behind every balance sheet, there's a story worth telling. Humans in Accounting is brought to you by South Offices. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Humans in Accounting, where firm owners share their story behind their spreadsheets. As you know, I'm Alex Roman, and this episode is brought to you by South Offices, connecting talent across borders. Today's guest, I'm really happy to introduce Lynn Talbott. I don't know how to introduce you, Lynn, serial entrepreneur, founder of HR Business Solutions, LT Advisors, and now you have, you recently launched Bookkeepers Coach. We'll be talking about all this and many other things. Lynn, I'm really happy to have you here. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me, Alex. I look forward to it.
Perfect. So as you know, well, we never officially met. We have been talking now for a few weeks through an introduction. So I'm happy that now we are connected. As you know, here in Humans in Accounting, now that everyone we're all talking about AI, we are focused a little bit more in the human part. So I'm really happy just to have you here on our podcast. I want to know. Tell me a little bit. Let's start with your background. As I introduced you have you've made so many things. You have your own podcast. Tell me a little bit about what you have been doing. Throughout your career until this point that you're here in this podcast.
Yes, well, thank you, Alex, for having me. And basically, I call myself a serial entrepreneur because I have several different businesses, most of them quite by accident. So currently, I teach bookkeepers how to grow confident businesses that they love without burning out or doing it all alone. I'm a big advocate for bringing in the human element to accounting. And I'm thrilled to be here on Humans in Accounting with you today. So I came from a background of corporate HR and finance. And I've always loved helping people. I've always been a teacher and trainer at heart. And I love to help people run small businesses better. So when I saw the niche that small businesses were struggling with some of their back end office, their accounting, their HR, just maybe not having the skills or the time to go back and figure out what it is that they needed to do to be successful, I found that niche and I started HR Business Solutions. And basically, we were just helping people with their QuickBooks. We were like going in and helping them understand their QuickBooks. And I worked out of an incubator in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it was a really great time for businesses that were growing and scaling. And so I was lucky that I was surrounded by 50 new businesses, and they all wanted me to help them with QuickBooks, and they all needed help with human resources and QuickBooks. So that's kind of how I started with my HR Business Solutions and ran it for 12 years, and then recently sold it, scaled it to about 15 employees, and then sold it.
Okay, perfect. And after that, you just started directly as the bookkeepers coach. How did that happen? I want to know a little bit about that.
Yes. So after I sold my firm, I went into about a 10-minute panic thinking, well, what am I going to do? Because after running a business for so long, it feels empty to somebody like me who likes to continue to give and teach. And so I saw the need for other bookkeepers who maybe wanted to grow and scale their business. They just didn't have a structure or a plan. And I didn't, quite frankly, have a structure or a plan or a mentor or anyone helping me. I figured it out all on my own. And as you know, when you figure out stuff on your own, you make a lot of mistakes. And
Right.
so my goal was to help figure out a plan. What is it that independent bookkeepers needed to really remove themselves from the corporate world, become an independent bookkeeper, and then get the confidence they need to grow and scale a bookkeeping company, because people still need bookkeepers and not necessarily somebody right in their office. COVID taught us that you can do bookkeeping from anywhere, and now it's become more acceptable to hire people remotely for their bookkeeping. And so bookkeeping is a great way for people who want to work part-time at home. If they have a family, they can sort of fit it into their lifestyle. And I found a lot of people wanted that independence. They wanted to break out of the corporate world and they wanted to have the independence, but they just didn't have a way to do that. They didn't know how to do that. And so they start on their own. And I'm here to help fill that gap of what you're doing and what you sort of need to do.
Okay, perfect. I understand. But let me go back. I'm just curious, and I wanna ask you, like, was it because, I don't know, a friend of yours or a first client said, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" Or how was the first moment, or why you thought, "All right, maybe I can start doing this and I can start helping bookkeepers"? Was it because, again, you were in another incubator or something like that? I'm just curious, and I wanna know. I don't know, your first client, or how was those first initial steps?
I mean, it kind of came about naturally because after I sold my business, I was like, wow, I just built and scaled and sold a bookkeeping business totally on my own. And looking back, I could see that had I known all these different things, I could have done it better. I could have scaled it bigger. And one of the things that I like to tell my clients and any of your listeners here today who are independent bookkeepers and maybe thinking about going beyond just being an independent bookkeeper, going beyond just you doing the books, actually hiring other people to help you, is that had I known what I know now back then, I would have started my business many years earlier. I waited until I was 50 because I thought I I need to help my children. I need to do this. I can't work more than 40, 50 hours a week. I was just confined by the constraints of just living and my life. But realizing that I could hire people to do the work, teach and train them, and give them confidence to do it. And then I would have confidence in them as soon as they took over a client, just making sure that I have confidence, because it's hard to just hand over a client that you've had for 4 or 5 years that trust you. They hired you. And then
Exactly.
suddenly you're going to move them to somebody that you've hired. And so that transition has to go very, very slowly and very carefully. So, had I known that that was possible, I just didn't think that I would own a business. I didn't think that was an option for me or that something that I wanted to do. So, when it came time to grow the bookkeeping business, I just kept hiring people. And then once I sold the business, several of my employees were like, well, I don't want to go to this new company. I want to start my own business. And I'm like, great, I'll help you. So it kind of started that way. And then I had a few people that I just helped them set up their website and got going. And we started this group of bookkeepers, and we call it the Bookkeeping Training Circle. And it just took off from there.
Great. That's yeah. That's great. I feel well. I wanted just to say a few things, because I understand that personal relationship that bookkeepers have with their own client, and yeah, it's more than doing the work, because at some point it gets like personal. You know them, and the other person trusts you. So yeah, I feel that many listeners will feel identified with what you just said. And now, since when you started, this is one question that I wanted to ask you. Well, when you launched this?
The Bookkeepers Coach.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Um, Pretty much within 24 hours of selling my business, because I thought, what am I going to do with my life? And so when I sold a business, when you sell a bookkeeping company, you still work for the next year doing the transition, because I wanted my clients, same thing. I had to meet with my clients and say, this is your new bookkeeper. A lot of my bookkeepers were still staying with them, but some were moved over, and this is the new business. This is how it's going to work. And to give them confidence that it's not, I'm still here. I'm still here. And anytime any employee had a problem or an issue, or the client had an issue, they could contact me and I could hop in and kind of ease that transition, because people don't like to move. And so if I
Right.
could do anything to ease that. So I did work for a year easing that transition. And I was just coaching other bookkeepers in the new company how to handle my clients. Hey, this is how they like this done. This client doesn't communicate very well, but this is the best way to contact them. Or this client does not like it when you do this or this. And so being able to teach and train them. And then some of the employees are like, "Wait, I've never done tips in a restaurant." And I'm like, "Okay, let's hop online and I'll show you how to do that." They go in here, and then when you pay them, they go out here and they map over to payroll here. And so I'm just a natural teacher. And so by doing that, by teaching all of the new employees and the employees that, my clients now had, just was natural for me to just teach them. And then I thought, well, I want to keep teaching people, like, who needs help out there? I'm here. And when you run a bookkeeping company for 10 to 12 years and you have 15 employees, and I don't even know how many clients I've had, thousands over the years, because I worked with the startup community, and
Mm-hmm.
you see a lot and you learn a lot, and you learn how to just cut through all the stuff and just get to the important part of bookkeeping. Just cut through all the garbage, the clients saying all the stuff they need, but you really know what they need, and being able to help the bookkeeper express that to the client with a confident manner. Hey, this is the way we need to book this. This is the way this needs to go. This is the way I do it for my other clients. And that kind of helps the psychology with it too. Like, oh, well, if everybody else books their tips this way, yes, I'll let you book them, this way, because the client doesn't always know what they're talking about in bookkeeping. They just know
Right.
what they want to see, or they know what they think they know what they want to see, and they rely on the bookkeepers to do that. So when I train people and coach people, it's not just about the hard skills, moving this here, opening this chart of account, how to create this journal entry. It's also a lot of psychology, because we are humans. And that's why I love this podcast, is that you have to have that human element when you talk to clients. You have to understand their frustrations, try to get in their head. Where are they right now? And how can you help solve that? So we do a little bit of, I guess we're counselors and teachers as well. But if you've ever worked with clients and you're doing their bookkeeping, it is a lot of counseling and a lot of listening. And so by adding that human element into my training, really does help. It helps the client feel better, and it helps the bookkeeper feel better, that they're not just pushing through an agenda and the client may be resisting because you haven't taken the time to really get into their head and let them feel comfortable with you. Does that help? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And now I'm curious. I want to know. Here at South Offices, we help, yeah, mainly accounting firms, but we also work with some like solopreneurs that have their own, yeah, let's say bookkeeping company, and they're at that point of they don't know if they can just get another client because they don't have the capacity. So they're considering, okay, Alex, maybe you can help me with South Offices, hire someone, maybe part time, or maybe I just need to stay here and this is going to be my, or I'm going to tell no for future clients that they reach out. I want to know, because I think that those could be, yeah, people that you could help. How does it work? Like they reach out, they get into, you have one-on-one calls with them, they get into a chat, how I'm curious, because I'm sure that listeners in the future will be listening to this and say, hey, I want to reach out to Lynn, and maybe she can help me out with all the things that I'm experiencing now. And so maybe if you can tell everyone, how does it work? How do you help if you have now 100 people reaching out to you? How does it work?
Well, yeah. So what we do is, the first thing someone would do is go to our website, which is coachingbookkeepers bookkeepers.com. And on that website, you'll see a little button that says start here. And on there are some free stuff like how to set up a business plan. And that really gets somebody thinking, okay, just like you said, I'm an independent bookkeeper, I'm maxed out. Although I'm loving what I'm doing too much of it. Or people keep calling me and I can't say no. That was my problem. I was a yes person. I said yes to everyone because I was like, I can help you. I just had this passion. I'll figure it out. Even if I have to work on Saturday or Sunday, I can help you. Yeah, I don't recommend that, but
Yeah.
helping them figure out how to make a plan. So the first thing you want to do is make a plan. I have a free business plan on my website for bookkeepers. What is your capacity? How much money do you want to make at the end of the year? And how are you going to get there? And does it require hiring someone else? Or are you happy just doing what you want to do? So when you go on vacation or you want to, take the summer off with your kids, you're not inundated with employees calling you. So you have to understand that in your business plan, and you have to plan for that, or it just happens and then it happens and you're not prepared and then nobody's happy and you're stressed out. Yeah, going to so that's the first thing we would do is have you, make a plan. And then for it's just $29 a month. People join the uh, training circle. It's just called the Bookkeepers Training Circle. And we have a Slack channel. And on that Slack channel is where people can ask questions and they get feedback and they don't feel so isolated or alone because we're just talking all the time on there. We have a little channel on there that's like, if people are familiar with Slack, there's different channels. So one says, what are you doing this weekend? And we post what we're doing, and others are like, this is a technical QuickBooks question. How do you integrate this point of sale here? Or I just connected PayPal and it was a hot mess. Can somebody help me figure out, what happened here? And then we'll have anybody in the group can answer, but my staff, we have experts in all of that. I've first of all seen everything, but we also have someone that worked at Intuit for several years, so she has a good understanding of the back end of QuickBooks and how, okay, I see what happened and this is how you fix it, or you're going to have to hop on a call to get this fixed now because it's beyond us, fixing it. But people will get we give out homework too. Like we're like, okay, we have a 60-day challenge going on right now, like 60-day challenge to get your marketing ready. And so we post your website, let us look at it, and we can all share ideas because there's plenty of work out there. We're not competing with each other as independent bookkeepers. And I have bookkeepers not only from all over the US, but I also have one in Argentina, and she has joined the community, and it's the same thing. She can understand, just learn more about US tax law and what's going on and how people in the United States do their books or like to do their books. And there's a lot of nuances. There's sales tax in different states and all of that. So this is a safe place for people who are independent bookkeepers that can jump in this community and ask anything they want, and someone there will help them out. So it's a pretty good deal for that. And then we meet once a month. We have roundtable discussions once a month where everybody hops on a call and we talk about whatever pressing issue is going on. And usually I'll see something in the Slack channel that people will jump on and talk about. And we can talk about that. But also it's a time for any client, anybody in the training circle to ask me and my staff questions if they have something specific they want to ask that maybe they didn't ask on the Slack channel. But we have a good time and we are available to help. And then people can hire me as a mentor or coach. And that's what you do individually. And I coach people individually. So we just meet one-on-one for either 30 minutes or an hour. And I'll walk you through where you are in your independent bookkeeping and kind of where you want to be. We just help you with those steps. A lot of it is creating that business plan. And I act as a guide and a coach and a mentor to help you get where you're going. And hopefully you can get there without making the mistakes that I make. I mean, I say, look, I'm basing it on what worked for me. This might not work for you, but this is how I did it, or this is what I did and it didn't work. And then I moved to this method and it does work. And I think people appreciate that. And everybody's individual and different. So the plans are all different. And that's why we do that one-on-one.
That's incredible. So going back, so everyone in the future listening to this podcast, just go to coaching bookkeepers.com. Basically, you have free content there that can basically start without paying. And then for $29 a month, you can get into this community, which I feel it's a no-brainer if you're a bookkeeper. That's really interesting, and I really like that. Incredible. I've been watching, and on top of everything, you have a podcast there as well. So I don't know how you do everything, but it's great. It's definitely something that everyone needs just to check out. Let me just change subjects. I want to ask you, Lynn. I don't know how familiar you are, but here in Humans in Accounting, I need to tell you, I'm a foodie guy. For me, one of the important things in life is food. I enjoy cooking, but I also enjoy eating. And I had this idea a few episodes ago. I'm asking each guest what's their favorite food. So this is me asking you, what's your favorite food? I have this plan for episode 100 just to post the ranking of the best food of everyone who participated in Humans in Accounting. Direct question, Lynn, what's your favorite food?
I love this. This is great. So probably anything Mexican. I do love Mexican food, but specifically fish tacos.
Fish tacos. All right.
Fish tacos. If we go to a restaurant and we open the menu and my husband sees that they have fish tacos, he's like, "Well, I know what you're going to get," because I love all the different variety. They're always different at restaurants, and so I love to try the different fish tacos. So that would be my answer.
Okay, perfect. Have you ever been to Mexico?
I have, yes.
Okay.
And they're much better in Mexico than they are in the US.
Yeah, but I also enjoy. I'm Argentinian. I lived in Mexico. I don't know if "lived" is the correct term because I was there for 4 months. Maybe yes, or maybe no. Not sure. I was in the capital. Mexico DF was back then, Ciudad de Mexico, and yeah, I really enjoy Mexican food. The thing is, me as an Argentinian, I like spicy for Argentinian people, definitely not for Mexicans. So whenever I go to Mexico, I say just a little bit spicy. Yeah. So you said fish tacos. That's your
Yes.
final answer. Okay, perfect. Thank you for answering me that question that has nothing to do with your career and bookkeepers.com. Let's go back. Let me ask you. This is a question that I like to ask, and let's concentrate in this last company that you're building. Do you have like a significant milestone, something that I don't know? Well, when I ask you this, what's the first thing that comes to your mind as far as a milestone or an achievement or someone who told you, "Hey, Lynn, thank you so much. You helped me achieve this or that," or tell me whatever comes to mind.
Well, when I think of a significant milestone in my, career, it would be selling my bookkeeping firm. That would be huge. And then afterwards being able to help individual bookkeepers succeed. I love in our group, we already have somebody that came in a year ago and she's already scaling. She has 3 employees and feeling so much more confident than she did before because she's not doing all the work. As entrepreneurs and bookkeepers, we like to be in the books, so we're sometimes hesitant to turn that over to people, or we turn it over to people, but then we still go back and do it. And so being able to get that, help people understand the mindset that you can't micromanage people, but you have to trust them. And if for some reason you've hired somebody and you have to constantly go back and, fix things or look over their shoulder or meet with them and correct them, then you start micromanaging them, you've got the wrong employee. You didn't do a good hire. And so then you go back to the drawing board to hire. I do talk a lot about hiring the right person, and just I'm very open and honest with people when I hire them to work for me. I'm just like, hey, at any time, if this is not your cup of tea, like if it is not working out for any reason, you don't like my style, the clients, you're tired of bookkeeping, just kindly let me know. Because and don't just leave all my clients hanging and then they all come back to me, because that's what happens when you're in a bookkeeping company. They leave, all 40 hours is going to come right back to the owner that day, and that's a lot to do if you're already working 40 hours a week. So I think hiring the right person is very, very important. And hiring people remotely, it's a little bit harder these days because you can hire people from all over, but you can't always get a good background check on them. So you're hiring for hard skills and soft skills. And I like to make sure that I'm meeting with my employees regularly. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Are you having any client problems? Do you like your clients? Like making sure I'm keeping ahead of anything that could be a problem from them. So I would say, looking back at my milestone, hiring people, starting the new firm, doing the same thing, being very careful with my hires, and then helping other people feel that same accomplishment when they hire the right person and are able to offload a lot of the bookkeeping.
That's really powerful. I agree 9,000% with what you said. Just the truth is that you, me, everyone, we spend a lot of time working on our lives. Therefore, I think it's important that that time that we spend working, we're happy doing that. Having someone, when you hire someone, if the other person tells you, hey, look, for me it's important, exactly what you've said, it's important, tell me if there's anything that we can do better, or if you're on board with this, or if you are not, just let me know. Being like straightforward with that, I think that's important and will benefit like both parts, and also your client, which is probably the most important part. So I think that's very, very powerful. And I know you hired someone from Argentina, was it?
Absolutely. Yes.
How
And,
was that experience?
yes. And so, we talk about the human element of accounting, and that this is part of that, is just looking at the person, the human, and, don't look at them as just another bookkeeper doing robotic AI stuff. This is a human that you need to care for and nurture and work with, and they depend on you for their income. So you
Exactly.
have a serious role here, and you need to act like a human in accounting. And so, yes, recently I did hire my first hire in Argentina, and she does some nonprofits for me in the United States, and it's gone amazing. So, and like I said, she's in our training circle. I found out she had lots of talent. I'm like, okay, would you like to have some clients? And so I still do advising on the side, and I still have some clients, just people that have come to me that know I do bookkeeping, and it's a area that I want to do, mostly nonprofits. I'm just in a place in my life now that I just want to do um, I don't know, things that have meaning to me and are more meaningful to, society. Not that it's all altruism there, but that if I am going to take a client, I would like for them to be nonprofit and be able to feel better about that. Nonprofits are very interesting in the United States, and it's just a different bookkeeping segment. A lot of people don't do nonprofits. It's very complex with government grants here, but if you learn how to do that and get over it, that's fine. And so this gal in Argentina has already had experience with nonprofits in the US. And so she was able to take some. So it's been great. She is doing well, and was able to sort of get over my apprehension about hiring somebody from another country, because there is a lot of trepidation sometimes for people to say, you know, as an accounting firm or a bookkeeping firm, you're like, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work, or how do you really know their background? I can't do a background check on them, or things like that. Or they get nervous that maybe their clients might think they're trying to pull something over on you.
Yeah, I heard that.
All of that, yeah, all of that went out the window when I was able to experience it firsthand and be like, "Oh my gosh, this gal's super smart, super educated, like beyond my expectations." So I like to, say yes, when you're hiring people remote, consider hiring people Argentina or in South America. I just happen to have a good experience with Argentina, and that by doing that, you will find quickly that there's no difference, especially if they have experience doing US, accounting and books. There's no difference at all. Just a
Right.
pleasant person.
Right. But again, the advice that you said before, like about being direct with a with an employee, whether they're in Argentina, in Australia, or in Texas, or in California, or in Canada, I think that that applies to anyone who you're onboarding to the team. And yeah, I really liked what you said, and I think that's important. Let me ask you, plans for the future. What are your plans now? Well, keep on getting more people into the community. Or are you gonna start 3 or 4 more businesses? What are your plans, Lynn?
Well, I hope this will be my last business, but who knows? So, yes, our plans for the future. I am launching some more on-demand courses for bookkeepers to help them master things like marketing, scaling, and just the different systems and maybe the tech stack that I use. It changes all the time. There's a lot of new integrations that come out, but there's also ways to do things that are more efficient. And so I just let them know, this is what works for me, this is what did not work for me, or this is what worked for the company that bought me. They had this because they were a bigger company, they had a bigger system, and sometimes you don't need the big fancy system. So we're launching more on-demand courses, and we have one right now called the Mastermind for marketing just for bookkeepers, and it talks about how to find your first client and how to get clients if you're just an independent bookkeeper. So that's on the website as well. And then I guess just growing my YouTube channel and the podcast, just making sure people are enjoying the podcast. And the podcast is called the Better Bookkeeper Show, and it just is geared to bookkeepers who want to grow and scale or just be independent bookkeeper and just have a little bit more general knowledge about how to do that, because things are changing quickly in bookkeeping and accounting, and you can't just sit there and learn something and say, well, that's it, I'm going to stay on QuickBooks Desktop because I know it. And things are changing all around, and they're changing quickly. And my job as a bookkeeping coach is to stay one step ahead of all of that and give you the information you need on the Better Bookkeeper Show or my YouTube channel, or just in the Bookkeepers Training Circle. Like, what's going on? What are people doing? And what is QuickBooks doing? What is AI doing? And how to kind of manage that on a scale that doesn't feel overwhelming to people. Because we all know AI, we hear it and half of us go, oh, that's silly. And the other half go, oh, I'm scared of it. But really trying just to capture AI in accounting, and, QuickBooks already has it integrated. It can be frustrating, but you can also use it as a good tool. So those are the things we talk about in our class. So we will continue to launch, classes and on-demand courses as things keep changing, which I think they'll always change. Do you think so, Alex?
Absolutely, and now faster than ever. Maybe by the time that we finish this episode, there are already a few new tools that we are not aware that somehow it's gonna automate something. Hopefully, make our lives better. Lynn, just to wrap up. I like to finish. I always ask my guests this question that I enjoy, because basically I learn, and hopefully this helps. Could help listeners in the future. What's a good advice that you can give maybe someone starting their own business, or what's one a good advice that someone gave you, or that you could maybe give could have given yourself when you started your company? What's a good advice? Pick one, if possible?
I think it's being a lifelong learner. I just happen to be a lifelong learner. I don't know if people are born that way or if they have to learn to be that way, but getting comfortable with learning as you go, because the bookkeeping world is changing. We've already talked about that. And you don't need to know everything. You don't have to know all the US tax code to be a bookkeeper. You just need to know enough on how to move forward. And just, I mean, lifelong learning, that's it right there. Don't stop learning. And I pride myself on learning something every day. In the training circle, I'll go and somebody will say, oh, QuickBooks did this, or did you know that? And I'm like, me, who tries to know everything and tries to stay ahead of the game, I pride myself on being able to learn something new every day and feel good about it, not feel like, oh, I should have known that. I'm like, great, I've learned that, and move on.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that advice. That advice is actually someone who is not in accounting and it's, I don't know, a sports professional or in retail or doing something else. Definitely that advice applies. Lynn, it was so nice having you in Humans in Accounting. Thank you so much for joining. And yes, I guess I'll see everyone in next episode. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining. I had a lot of fun. All right.
Great. It was my pleasure. And if anybody likes what they heard today, they can just head over to coachingbookkeepers.com, sign up for a newsletter, and see what it's all about.
Absolutely. Lynn, have a really good day.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.